So, it turns out we missed something with our last design that I realized in looking at the images. If you notice, you can see just the edge of this circle right here. And what that means is that on that base one, it's split. So it's not just solid across, there's like a middle here. So if we wanted to add that in, what we would need to do is click on Sketch, click on the top of this, go ahead and click on top, and I like to rotate it just a little bit. So here's the top of my circle right here, and I know that I want to remove some section of this. So I'll go back to the top, rotate it again, and let's just go ahead and start by making a point. So we'll click on that right there in the center of this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on rectangle. Center point rectangle right here. So we can just make that wide like that. It's kind of arbitrary now. Hit escape. So let's pretend that this rectangle is going to be what's removed from the edge of our arm. So I want it to be so thick right here. So let's click on dimension, click on those two, and let's say we want a 1/2 inch on each side. So now all that's left to change is how far deep does this go. And we know that it needs to cover at least this. So what I can do, and you can right click and rotate, and you can actually edit the sketch while it's not looking at it right on. So I'm going to click on this, which is the very furthest edge of our arm, and I'm going to click on the furthest edge of our rectangle. I'm going to say coincident, and it's going to tell me that I can't do that. So I'm going to undo it. What I should have clicked, my bad, is I'm going to click on, I'm going to click on that point, and I'm going to click on this line. Let's see if that works. That does work. So the issue is, if you're looking at the top, that can't ever be right on that, but this line can. So when I remove this, it's going to remove out this entire space right here. And let's just see how that looks. So I'm going to click check mark, click extrude, click on the sketch, click remove, and then I'm going to say merge scope part 1. Then let's say up to vertex, and we're going to click on, oh, maybe not a vertex. Let's just go ahead and call it blind. And then we'll just remove a large portion of it. And it looks like we missed just a tiny piece of that, which is really kind of funny. But if I hit the check mark, you can see here's our arm. But clearly that's not going to work because we've got that infinitesimally small sliver that's still around, and that's never going to fly. So we'll click back on our sketch, we'll click the letter N. We're going to show our constraints, and that line one that we clicked, we're going to delete it. And we're just going to say this needs to be a certain length. So actually we can say that this has to be a little bit longer than this. So right now it's at 0, but we can see that's 0.5. So if that, I don't know if that was super clear how we did that. I'm going to delete this and just undo what I did. So to make that easier, let's click on this blue, drag it out. Then we're going to click on dimension, click on the line, and then click on this edge point right here. And then now I can see that. So now I can say that's 0.5. And then now when I click the check mark, it should be good. So we just want to repeat that process for this arm right here. I'm going to go through it kind of quick because we just did it. I'm going to hit sketch, hit the letter N. I'm going to make a point right here. I don't know why that didn't work. I might have hit text. So there's our point. I'm going to come click on our rectangle. Oops. Good, you have to drag. There's our rectangle. We know that this has to be 0.5 inches away from that. And we know that this needs to be 0.5 inches longer than that. And there's our rectangle. We're going to click extrude, click on our sketch, click remove. We said it's blind, so now we just need to drag that a ways out. And there we go. Now our rectangle, and now our base arm has these two pieces. So now we get to move on to the next arm. I know I kind of wasted a lot of time working on that, but that's alright. That's a part of the process. So let's go ahead and we will just make it inside this part studio because I think it helps to get a context for what is already there. So I'm going to click on sketch and let's just go ahead and do it on the front right here. And we can kind of see everything. So I'm going to click on front, click on the back right here so we can see it. And we know that I want a pretty long arm. And if you look at this, it's kind of like a triangle right here and then another triangle right here. But really just a long line. But again, we have a few different points to look at here. 2 holes, and the rest fall in after that. So if this is the end of my arm, let's turn it around so that it's kind of similar to this, right? I'll click on front. So you know that I'm going to share the same circle right here. So I'll make a circle. And I can click on this one and this one. I can make them incident. And then I'm going to hit line construction. And I'm going to make our line that will ultimately define where this goes. Hit escape. So at the end of this, I'm going to have a circle, just like before, and it's going to be equal to these. And the length of that can change. And interesting things that you'll notice when you look at this backhoe, right? It's like straight and angled, so we're going to try to emulate that. All right, so we have our circle here. We can go ahead and set the distance. I'm going to click on distance, click on our line. It says 17. Let's go ahead and make that 18. And then if you noticed, so we'll do the circle thing again. So we'll click on circle. We'll click on that. We'll come out here. We'll see that this circle is the same size as this circle by hitting this coincident right here. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We'll hit construction, circle, right there. See that one and that one are equal. So let's go ahead and make a line. And let's try to make that that kind of angle you see. So we'll round it off in a second. Actually, no, we'll go ahead and round it off now. So it comes up, makes an angle, makes another one, comes back down. So we'll do this. I'll come out here. I'll make them tangent. This one's already tangent with this one because we're going to put it there, but we'll just go through the motion. I'll make this one and this one tangent. Oh, that was a mistake. Let's not do that yet. So if we remove, let's see. Actually, I'll just delete this line. We'll make a new line. What had happened is this and that have been coincident, so it wouldn't let it do any position when you hit tangent. But now, come in here, click this one, click our line, click tangent, and there we have it. And so now we can play around with some numbers here. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is 6 inches from there, and that this line is 4 inches. And let's say we can just kind of pick how we want to do this to make it easy. I don't know if you saw what I just did there. I'm going to click that point, click this line, I'm going to click coincident. So now everything should be black. I have to fill in some places that were construction. So I'll click on that point, and I'll click on him, we'll put incident. And now if you can see it, it's a black line. So I've got just one more to do that with. That's this one right here. I'll click arc, this point, and I'll click there, coincident. And as you see, it's like a gray inside right there. So, almost done. If you notice, there's an actuator that fits in right there. So to do that, we need some hole over here. So I will just come down, hit, oops, go back to our sketch, hit line, construction, I'll click on the center point of here, come down, that'll make a circle, and sometimes you'll see these buttons just kind of highlight and me pull up things. That's because I'm using the hotkeys. So the hotkey for circle is C, the hotkey for line is L, the hotkey for construction is Q, and the hotkey for dimension is D. And you can click on it, you can see it right there. Super useful. Anyways, I'm going to make this the same size as my other circles for consistency. Oops, wrong button. So click on the 2, then click equal over here. And I'm going to say this circle is 1 inch from the edge. So one other thing that I think we should add, I think we should round some of these corners. So I'm going to click on Sketch Fillet, click on these two. That's too far. Let's make that 1.5. And then let's do the same for right here. So it's kind of a funky looking circle, but edge, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, so now we have the sketch of our first arm. We're going to hit check mark, hit extrude, click on sketch 4. I'm going to go and change the direction, and I'm going to click new right here, so it's a different one. And if we remember, this whole thing is 3 inches across, and each of these is ½ an inch, so the distance between here and here should be 2 inches. So I'm going to click on, type in 2 inches, hit check mark. Let's just verify that. So if I wanted to verify that distance, I can click that edge of the circle. I click that edge of the circle, and right here we see min distance is 2 inches. So we're right. So that should fit within there. So let's go ahead and make an assembly just to test this. Actually, yeah, we'll make an assembly really quickly. So I'm going to insert. I'm just going to insert all of my arms. And I'm going to fix this one. I'm going to right click, click on fix. And then what I want is a revolute, which is right here, between that circle and that circle. Click check. So now this can spin, and what we notice is there's like a max height right here that it can go to. We can adjust some numbers to help with that, but that's the first arm component of our backhoe.